In this episode, Mo and I sit down with Mary McFarland. She's the wife of Tony McFarland, who was in the Army, Bronze Star recipient, suffered from PTSD, and came back from being deployed overseas, mentally and physically different. Mary talks about how they met, the progression of his military career and their relationship and having children. And then during all that time, she goes back to school. She gets her nursing degree, and now she ended up finishing with her master's in nursing. And now she works with the VA, where she helps and mentors and counsels veterans. It's a very compelling story. We appreciate her time and the insights, and she has an incredible passion for her family and her husband. I hope you enjoy that. With that being said, I want to start talking a little bit more about our sponsors and how to best support the show, Street Tales Network. We're sponsored by Blackout Coffee. You can get a discount, 20% off your first order by using the code word Street Tales. Also, you can find the link to that on our website, streettales.com. Your copy of Street Tales Volume 1, that actually helps the show directly. Also, I think it's a great book, but also the proceeds from that help us grow the show, marketing, things of that nature. And then Street Tales Apparel. We've partnered with Living Blue. Again, all these links can be found on our website, streettales.network.com, which will be below in the description. But all proceeds of our apparel go to Blue Cancer Connect. It's a charity and organization with Vicky Speed. I'm here to promote what she's doing, and we want to help see her grow.
Welcome back. We have a very dear friend of mine and someone that I think has an amazingly interesting story as well within their own right. And she happens to be married to one of our previous guests, Tony McFarland. So we have Mary McFarland, the other half, tonight. And I met Mary, same way with Tony. They're my neighbors, and we just hit it off. And these are people that I've basically told them that if they try to sell their house, I'm going to make sure that I block it entirely so they can't. So right. I did bully them that way for sure. But it's because you know how you just click with people and you just know, and these are just really great people who I definitely consider like family to me. So thank you for coming on, Mary. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
So the reason why I thought it would be interesting to bring Mary on, and I talked about this, me and Tyler talked about this for a while before we had Tony and then afterwards as well, is because I think there is such a unique story to be told on the other side. The stories are powerful. They're worth sharing. There's somebody out there that's listening that goes, yeah, I have felt that. Yes, I've gone through that, especially when you're talking about military service. And I always think they kind of parallel law enforcement. So Mary, being married to a veteran, the other side of it is she is a nurse with the VA. So she deals with veterans that are sometimes in crisis, sometimes medical crisis, sometimes psychological crisis, lots of things that are going on. She raised her family, while Tony was being deployed, while he was living his military career. And if you listen to Tony's story, he talks about being in the military for 9/11 and how that impacted him. But all the while, Mary's at home with their kids, and then he's getting deployed and all these things. So there's just so much of a story that I think that an entire half of it is missing. So I was so excited when she said, yes, I will come on and tell the other half, so that now we have the full puzzle. So thank you again.
Of course, of course.
Starting out, tell me a little bit, where did you grow up? What was your little Mary life about?
So I grew up in a very rural, northeastern Ohio, typical Midwest in the 80s type family. Mom was stay-at-home mom. Dad worked a lot. I remember when I was little, he was a truck driver for Halliburton. So he was gone a lot. And with my mom being a stay-at-home mom, we didn't have a whole bunch of money. When he was not doing trucking overnight, he was fishing in Lake Erie or hunting or that sort of thing to kind of stock the freezer for us as well. So he was gone a lot. Probably he got into he worked as a steel worker. The company that he worked for made brakes for railroad companies for trains.
Okay.
So he worked there he actually still works there for a really, really long time. And that was more of a regular 9-to-5 type of job. So he was there, at home more often, but that really wasn't until I was probably early teenage years. But yeah, it was just kind of regular, like I said, Midwest, in the 80s, be home when the street light comes on type thing.
Understood.
But yeah, that was pretty much it.
And Just you or siblings?
So I have a sister. She is 7 years younger than me. She still
Oh.
lives in Ohio, up there, with my mom and dad, who still live there as well. Very close to where Tony grew up, like side by side towns, really, to where Tony grew up. Super small. Like his high school and the area was more populated than mine. I had 88 kids in my graduating class. Like that's how
Oh.
small of a town. One stop sign
There we go.
that they've converted to a light now. So
Oh.
real fancy.
I was going to say, that's
So
fancy. Stop it.
yeah,
Stop
Yeah.
it.
for sure.
So you guys lived in proximity, but you and Tony didn't know each other
We did
when you were
not know.
kids. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So you grow up in this little small town. Where do you go to college? What gets you into nursing? How do you go down that?
So I didn't even go into the nursing profession until later in my life. Like,
Oh,
Okay.
so I met Tony when it was, so I graduated in May. I met Tony in June
graduated from what?
and
High school or college?
high school.
Oh, okay.
High school. Yeah. So I graduated high school in 1998 in May. I met him in June. A mutual friend of ours, someone who I actually dated in high school, was going off to the army, and they were
Okay.
having like a going away party, and they were friends. And Tony was at the Pentagon at the time, and he came home for his like going away party, and I met him there. And we talked, and he asked me for my number, and I gave him my number. Once he got back home, well, not home, but up, in Virginia, he called and he was like, "Hey, I'd love for you to come and visit me." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come and visit you."
So this was the first date?
Tony's got swag on him. I like it.
Yeah. All 18 years old of me went to Virginia to see Tony in
Mhm.
September, and I never came home.
Really?
Wow. So wait a minute. I
Oh, wait,
didn't
hold on.
realize this.
Do
Go
you mind-
ahead.
Do you mind, Mo? I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I have two questions. So this is my question. So there's a lot of stigma affiliated with, dating a cop or a military guy. There's a lot of crossover. They are different professions. I
Mhm.
get the concept. Well, did that ever cross your mind?
No. So
Okay.
living in the small town that I did, I was super like sheltered and naive.
Okay.
Like I had no idea. I just met this guy. He was so funny
Uh-huh.
and handsome. And I was like, yeah, like I've never been to Washington, D.C. before. Like, sure, like I'll go.
Yeah.
And, the more that we spent time with each other up there, the more that like we meshed. And he was like, why don't you stay another week? And then it just continued on and on. And
But let me say this.
here we are
Again,
now today.
Yeah. Well, as a dad, crazy town to me for my daughter to do that. But I want to say this.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been married?
Yeah.
Or been together since then?
God.
Well,
So that was
98.
in 1998.
Yeah. I can't do math, but almost
Sorry.
30 years?
Yeah. I mean,
Almost 30 years.
Let's
27 years. There we go. I could do something.
20. I was going to say, because AJ's 25.
So
yeah.
27 years. And
Mhm.
not only that, you at some point, we'll get into it, went to college or, got your, see what I'm saying? So, Mo, that's wild.
It is.
Because
Yeah.
for me, all the writing on the wall is like, that's crazy. Don't do
Yeah.
that. I would lose my shit. But it worked out, right? So it just
Yeah,
meshed.
for sure.
That's amazing.
Well,
It is
and you
a
know what?
wild ride.
I will say, and we'll dive into it more, but I think that personalities and what people hold at value it
Uh-huh.
makes a difference, because I think knowing Mary and Tony, their
Yeah.
family and their marriage is incredibly important to them. Even when it's gotten tough, they didn't throw in the towel. There might
Yeah.
have been times that Mary has wanted to burn all of Tony's clothes in the front yard, but she's not done it. So
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
say, I don't want to do this anymore, but she's not done it. I think that's where the difference is. Marriages that we're seeing nowadays versus these types of marriages, you commit to
Mhm.
it even when you don't like them. You commit to it even when it is hard. You commit to it. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I have seen with Tony and Mary. So, but what's wild to me is I didn't realize that you met him in May and September. That was like, we're going at
Yeah.
it. That's crazy.
Right.
And never left, man. Mo, I'm
never.
going to go see this guy. I think he's cool and funny. Yeah, I'm just going to stay here. We're cool.
Yeah.
I'm tight.
We're
I'm
cool.
This
good
is where I
I'm
live
at.
now. So
He asked her.
I've known you for 3 days, but I live here
Right.
now.
I live
love
here
it.
now. And every week
God, that's
now
amazing.
he asks her, hey, do you want to stay one more week? And she's like, one more week. I just stay one more
Do
week.
that for 30. I love it.
guess.
That's so
guess.
good. That's amazing.
I love it. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
college life for you was really meeting Tony, and now he was in the military. So is he deploying at this point, or is it
No.
he's stationary at the Pentagon?
Right. Yep. So it was not wartime.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we met. So basically, he just kind of worked a regular job at the Pentagon. 9 to
Kinda, yeah.
5.
Normal hours. What he's
Leave.
doing is
Yeah.
not normal.
Right.
Yeah.
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 He'd leave, he'd go to work, he'd come home, that sort of thing. So
So what is
it
life like
wasn't,
that for you when now you've uprooted yourself, you've moved here? So even though he is not, it's not wartime and he's stateside, you still have
Mhm.
uprooted your life to kind of go where he's at because he can't come where you're at.
right.
And you are 18 years old. I'm assuming didn't know a lot of people in Washington, D.C. since you had never been there before other than Tony.
I knew nobody. Yes.
So
Correct.
what is life like for you when you first get into this world now?
It was shellter shock.
Mm.
100%. Imagine, so, the town that I live in Ohio, the big highway is 2 lanes on one side going one way and 2 lanes on the other side going the other way. So to go anywhere in DC, you have to get on the Beltway. And if you miss an exit, forget
Oh,
about it.
Bye.
You have to go all the way around the Beltway to get back where you are. Mind
Yeah.
you, traffic is insane. So just to be able to do that, if you are on your way to work and lost track of where you were and you're like, oh my gosh, my exit's coming up and couldn't get over, you're 3 hours late.
Oh.
yeah. And they're not going to let you over either.
No,
No.
no, for sure.
They'll laugh at you and go,
Can I get
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
For real.
Yeah, they will
Mm-mm.
not. So
No.
I can remember one of my very first on my own driving experiences there. I was over by the White House and literally on the phone, I was supposed to be going to the Pentagon to drop something off for Tony, crying, hysterical. I was like, I don't know where I'm at. Full blown panic
Yeah.
attack,
Yeah.
and he's like, okay, trying to tell me first he's trying to tell me go west. I'm like, I don't know where I am. You can't
This is
say
amazing.
that.
I love it.
Stop
I
saying
see
west.
this.
Wow. Well,
Right
and,
now, I don't even know right or left. You can't tell me west or
Yeah,
east.
So great.
So it was awful. But yeah, as I
Mary-
kind of got, was there and I was forced to do it. I didn't
Yeah.
have a choice. It was, and that's honestly the way that, I am now. That really is how that kind of started, was from that, I'm put into a situation to where it's sink or swim. You figure it out or you live on the street by the White House because you don't know the way back home.
Yeah. One, people have totally just got out of their car and started walking because they couldn't figure it out. That's true.
Yeah.
But Mary, did you ever
was close to
experience, because it was new for me, when during certain times of the day, certain roads are different directions?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the morning, there's a certain roads that all go one way, but then in
Right.
the afternoon, the road will go up. You can go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at the times and the schedules,
Right.
and you're trying to
What
read the
time's
sign
that?
as you're driving. But yeah. And
Yeah.
then God help you if there's a motorcade moving it because they're blocking
Yeah.
it. You might not shut down.
Bananas.
I mean, whatever the hell's going on.
Right.
It's
It
crazy.
is a wild experience. So
Mhm.
I'm still one street light to Washington, D.C.
DC.
traffic.
It's awful.
And a husband
Oh,
telling
yeah.
her, go west. Go west.
Yeah, go west.
Yeah. I'm like,
It's the Pentagon. Just
Dude.
follow the signs. I hate you.
yeah, I don't know what you're talking. This is a different language to me. I don't know
Yeah,
what that means.
Yeah, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. So once
Mm-hmm.
you're there, do you find work? Are you falling into your niche then? Or are you just kind of I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just,
So I did. My first job there was in Tyson's Corners, and it
So
was
busy.
a bookbinding job. So I bound books. So the books that have the this,
The spirals on it.
the spirals on
Oh,
them.
okay.
There's a machine. So the paper guys would be out there. They would print the books. They would punch the holes, and they would bring them to me offset, all of them. And there was a machine with a roller, and I would take the first part of the spiral, put it in there, and then I'd put it up against the roller, and it would bind the book. So I did that. There was a bunch of different sort of thing tasks that I did there. But I did that for a while, and then I got pregnant with AJ, And I worked there actually all the way up until after I had AJ because I had to get like health insurance. So
Oh yeah, because you guys weren't married
we
yet.
weren't married.
Okay.
No. So
Okay.
so we met in 98. We weren't married until 2002.
After
Mhm.
9/11?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
All
were
right, I'm sorry.
together.
Yeah, I'm tracking.
So we had broken up and then we got back together and we were together when 9/11 happened.
I see.
But
Yeah, because he talks about he wanted to get back to, well, I think he said
to Ohio.
family.
Yeah, to family, which was I was in Ohio at the time. I had moved back
Yes.
to Ohio.
Yeah.
He was trying to get back to Ohio at that time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But but we were together then.
I see.
But yeah, so
Interesting.
I worked there until I had AJ. And then after that, I got a job at Outback Steakhouse. And that was sort of like my profession, really, until I went to school for nursing. I was a waitress and a bartender at Outback Steakhouse because the good thing about it is that everywhere we moved, there was always an Outback Steakhouse and I could transfer from one to the other to the other. It was really important for me for my kids to not be in daycare. So Tony would work during the day. We would literally high five out. He'd come in the door. I'd go out the door. I'd work until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and then come home and do it all over again. So yeah, if we were
It's so hard to
struggling, I could
maintain-
pick up a
yeah.
shift.
It's so hard to maintain a relationship.
Yeah, for sure. It was, I mean, looking back, like it was definitely rough, but like we did what we had to do.
No, yeah, for sure.
It
No, I
was
totally get it.
normal for us.
And I love that you were a waitress and a bartender because I've said it many times, as was I. Think it is I think we had Doc Simpson on. He goes, every teenager should do a ride along. I think every teenager should go do wait table, do some sort of interact with customers because you get the broad spectrum and you have to learn how to use your words to deal with it.
Use your words.
Use your words.
I got very good at that. I got very good at sharply using my words to let everybody know exactly what I meant in customer service language.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah, when the minute you said that, I was like, oh, Tyler's little heart just pitter pattered because we were talking about like we've discussed recruitment when you're talking about for law enforcement, who should you recruit from? He says waitresses and waiters should be where we should recruit, not the other places because they're going to know how to deal with people. You know.
Yeah.
So
Doc Simpson even said they asked like, "What was your last job?" And if it was something with customer service, they're like, "How did you like it?" They'd be like, "Oh, I made a life. I did good. Whatever." They like that is now seen as a plus as opposed to I don't know, some sort of derogatory thought towards it because it's like you know how to interact with a broad range of human beings.
Yeah.
It's a unique skill.
I just one thing I want to note, and when we have gotten the wives on, several of them. And I think back, I think all of them now have said something that now I've listened to you say several times, Mary. We just had to do it. We just had to make it work. We just had to get it done. And we heard it from both Elise and I, in our other episode, it was the same thing. Just we were in this together. So we just had to get things done, even though we were high-fiving each other on the way out. And now you said you look back and it's hard. So I just think it's very interesting. Again, we talk about the mentality of people in these professions. I think the mentality of partners that make it through these professions, I think they have to have that mentality. You know, when we talked to Veronica Palomara, she said the same thing. I don't know. I just did it, you know, and for her, she almost downplayed her story because she was like, I don't have anything to say other than we just did it. I think there's such value in people not realizing that it is just doing it. There's nothing special. There's nothing that, you know, you shouldn't, when people are going through these things, sometimes they're like, there's something missing. I don't want to be here. And that's where I think you see the divorces in military. You see a lot of the divorces in law enforcement because they don't realize there is a part where you just got to get things done and you just got to work through it, through the hard times, you know?
Right.
Yeah, Mo, and I find myself now in my and, you know, giving advice to younger people. And I have to catch myself because I'm like, you know, you got to make date night. You got to make time for each other. All that. And they're looking at me like, bro, we work like 20 hours a day. I don't know.
I just thought it was very interesting that we're seeing that weave through all of these episodes when we have been able to get the spouses on to talk a little bit.
Yeah. It's a mindset for sure. You have to have it.
Yeah. So you said Outback was your profession until you decided to be a nurse. What flipped that switch? Because
how long was
different,
that,
but it's not that different at the same time when we're talking about dealing with people.
So, I always wanted to go back to school, but we never stayed in one place long enough for me to finish a program. So I had to wait. I had to, like we said, do what we had to do until Tony got to that last duty station. And once he got to Fort Riley, and that was his last duty station, and we knew that he was going to drop his packet, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to school. So I went down to the local college, and I was looking through all their stuff, and I was like, the first thing that I said was, I was like, I would love to do like massage therapy. And Tony's like, absolutely not. No way. You're not doing that.
I get it.
Nope.
No. Try
no
again.
way.
Although he missed an opportunity because then you could have been trained.
Right?
Let me get all that. I'll be your best client.
For sure. But yeah, he's like, no, we're not doing that. So I was like, all right. So I was like, nursing. So I looked into the RN program that was there in Wichita, Kansas, and it was longer than the time that we were supposed to be there. So I decided I was going to do the LPN program that was there. It was 12 months, or no, actually it was 10 months long. So we lived in St. George, which was a really small town outside of Manhattan, Kansas. And it was like a 45-minute drive to Wichita. So I had people that I still talk with today that are friends with. We carpooled up there 4 days a week and back. I graduated, I was an LPN. I graduated and I passed my boards 14 days before the movers came to move us back to Florida. I mean, that's like my life.
Yeah.
Like time crunch. You have to do it. You have 3 days to get this done. It's
done.
like the story of my life.
Mary, let me real quick. How long had you guys been together? Like how long until you became an LPN from when you moved to Virginia? Like what was it? How long a time was that?
Oh God. So I was in Virginia in 1998 and let's see here, 2012.
Okay.
Is when.
So 14 years.
Yeah.
It's 14 years. Tony's bouncing around. You have kids. All these things are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
Then you decide to go to school on a tight time frame. I guess I want to talk maybe a little bit about the relational aspect up till that time, because he's deploying during that time frame. Mm-hmm. So you're pretty much single mom, single wife.
Right.
I guess my question is this. One, what did that look like from you during that time frame? Two, I'm also interested in, like, here you are, Tony's doing a noble thing, a noble profession, but to me on the outside looking in, it might not feel that way when you're like, yo, man, I'm following you all over this damn country. I got all these kids by myself. Like, I appreciate you love what you're doing, but I need some help. Like, when are we going to do this family thing?
So in my perspective,
yeah,
as a military spouse, your job is to take care of everything at home. And, it's funny because, they will tell you, they will tell the service person, like, your wife is the one that has to take care of it all. Like, you have to have a plan. What is your plan? Yeah. And I'm the plan. And if I'm not here, or say, like, somebody is a single dad or a single mom, and they're like, you have to have a plan. You have to figure out something or someone to where, if we need you to stay late, you have to stay late. You don't have a choice. So I always, like, when he was active duty, I always knew that it wasn't his say. He didn't have a say in if he had to stay late. Like, he could, and Tony, most of his career was not working for, Yates, or, he was working for, like, generals. Yeah. Like, he was, at the Pentagon. He worked for the chief of staff of the Army. So you can't go to the chief of staff of the Army and say, I'm sorry, sir, I know you have a meeting and I'm supposed to be there to run it, but my wife's got to go wait tables at 6:30.
Yeah.
No, like, absolutely not. You have to figure it out. Like, I had to figure it out. So, he worked there. He was in Central Command. He always had a top secret security clearance. So the jobs that he had, it was not a choice in the matter of, like, dude, like, I'm butthurt because you can't be here. Well, that's what you signed up for.
Yeah. Do you think that, again, there's a bunch of things that impact a relationship, but I'm assuming, or I'm thinking in my head, that caused some friction at times?
No, it didn't.
No.
No.
That aspect didn't bother you at all? Or well, I guess maybe it did, but it didn't turn into anything more than just like, that sucks, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, Tony and I, our problems honestly did not really start until after his deployments.
Okay.
In my mind at that time, like our marriage was like a fairy tale. Like we really did work as a team
Yeah.
to get what needed to be done. And we still do to this day. I won't say that we don't, but we really do work as a team and did work as a team to, make sure that our family had what we needed, a lot of what we wanted.
Yep.
Our kids got to do. There was food on the table. So when he was active duty, would I have loved for him to be home? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I missed him all the time, but he was in the Army. You can't.
Yeah, Mo, maybe help me formulate this, because it's like she met him. He was working at the Pentagon 9 to 5, very cool job, which I agree with. And then it's like, boom, this is the man. This is the kind of the life I got used to. And now it's like, yeah, so that changed. I got to bounce. I'll be back in I don't know what all the deployment structures are, but we're going to move around a bunch. Yeah. And this is our life now. And also I'm going to add some kids in there. It just is like, ooh, that's kind of rough.
It's a lot.
It's like a lot of people do it. I get the concept, but it's just hard to process that in my mind.
I think it is, but I think also it's, again, the way they're built. One of the things when she was even talking about her father, she said he was gone a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that it was her mom was the stay-at-home mom. I think that was maybe something that was kind of built into her DNA because of her rearing too. To say,
true.
He's gone a lot. I do what my mom did. I have to step up and just get things done.
Yeah.
So, and I think that a lot of times people go into it nowadays. We have people who are very different. You need to tell the general that this is going on.
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't work that way.
Does not work. I think that she's like, we worked together as a team and we got it done. I was the plan. So I think it was almost like this was just the way the marriage was born out of it. And I think now you add in, I think there becomes things that occur differently when you add in deployments and children and all those things. I think that is where some of the things can make it a little bit harder that we'll talk about. But I think just listening to when she was going through that, I thought this was no big deal to her because this was the way she was reared. Would you agree, Mary?
No, I want to get. I'm sorry, answer. Mo, I'm sorry. I stepped on you, Mo.
What did you say, Mo?
I said, would you agree that was maybe some of the foundational part for you?
For sure. That's what my childhood looked like. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was very traditional.
Yeah.
Women and men roles. I would say the only different part for me is that because, Tony was enlisted, I had to work.
Yeah.
Wasn't really, an option. I had to do it. And I didn't mind doing it. I liked being able to get out of the house, at least a couple days a week and having the choice to, if I wanted to give my shift away because we had something to do, awesome. If I wanted to pick up a shift, I could literally walk into the restaurant with my uniform on and be like, hey, who wants to go home? And I would have 4 people that would go home because, hey, we need money. So I'm going to go in and pick up a shift. So it was convenient in that way for me.
Super nice.
I want to say this before we get back into the LPN side and the education side, which again, to me, I'm just amazed at everything you're saying. You're just like, yeah, I just did it. It's whatever. And I'm just like, it just seems so hard to me. But having talked to a lot of cops, agents, and military professionals, when you can tell a difference from a man who has that comfort and that peace at home, like she's got it. I don't know if anyone's been able to articulate it. I'm probably not going to do a good job, but the amount of confidence and comfort it gives you while you're out doing your job, traveling, and you feel like you're doing the right thing. It's hard to put into words as opposed to, and I've also seen this side, when you're stressing out, I'm in another country. I can't talk to my wife. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
What's going on at the house, or she's like, I can't do that. They just tear them down while they're also trying to do whatever it is that job they're doing.
Yeah.
It multiplies your anxiety and your frustration tenfold. You know what I mean? So when you can provide that comfort, and to me, it sounds like you're like, yeah, I fucking got it. I'm the plan. It's all good. We'll figure this out. I'm not fighting you about what the general said. I'm just going to make it just alleviates so much pressure and stress and lets somebody be able to excel at their job. So again, phenomenal. So if no one's ever said that, I want to say it. And I apologize for stepping on you, Mo. All right. So now we're 14 years in, we're an LPN and we're moving to Florida 3 days.
Moving to Florida in 3 days.
Right.
So crazy.
Exactly.
So You get to
For
Florida
sure.
now. When you moved to Florida, was it because he was processing out, so he was doing his last position, or was this, we're out, and so this is where we decided we wanted to live?
So, we always knew that we were going to come back to Florida. In 2002, no, actually not 2000. So we were married in 2002. Alexis was born in 2002, our youngest. Decided that he was going to come up on orders. So from the Pentagon, he went to the Cleveland Recruiting Battalion. We were home near family for several years. And then his orders were getting ready to come up, and he knew that, we were going to have to move. And he was very worried that, he was going to have to go to like Fort Hood, Fort Benning, to where Fort Riley, to where, units are on a regular schedule for deployments. And he was trying to avoid that. So he decided that he would volunteer to go to Korea. So that was like our first 1 year separation. But, the caveat is that we knew he was safe.
Yeah.
He was in Korea. I didn't have to worry about him. The kids were little, but I was in Ohio with my parents and his mom, and I got help from them. So when he was done in Korea, he says he came up on orders, and he came up on our orders to Fort Hood, New York. Or not Fort Hood, I'm sorry, Fort Drum, New York. And he calls me and he's like, I'm on orders. I'm like, where? He's like, Fort Drum. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I was like, bro, we've been in Ohio for 4 years now, and the only place that they can pick is somewhere colder. Come on, man. Like,
Come on.
for real. So he calls his branch manager, and it was crazy because his branch manager like knew of him some way, knew his brother because his brother's in the military. Like, it's the whole like, not what you know, it's who you know type situation. And the guy was like, well, where do you want to go? And he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, do you have a clearance? And he's like, yeah, I got top secret clearance. He was like, well, then that opens up a whole new, whole much more jobs.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to go to Tampa? He's like, hell yeah, I want to go to Tampa. So Tony calls me and he's like, guess what? He's like, we're not going to New York. I was like, oh my God, where are we going? He's like, Tampa. I said, shut the hell up. No way. He's like, yes. Come to Tampa. We're here for 4 years. So we loved it here. I mean, we were a huge part of the community. Tony, that's where he started coaching. AJ was 5. It was his very first flag football team Tony coached. And he took his little jets, his little JETS, jets to the championship. And he coached every single year. He was a committee member for our athletic association. Alexis got into gymnastics. She started doing competitive gymnastics. We were like traveling all over the United States for her. It was a really great time in our lives.
Yeah.
Like, he worked at MacDill. He was off work. Like, he got a really good deal to where he had to go in super early, but he was off work by like 2:30, so he could come home and run his practices and stuff for football. So it was a really, really great time in our lives when we were there. So at Central Command, he got promoted to E7. And with that, a lot of times comes more responsibility. It comes a lot of times a duty station change. Right. And that's what happened. And he got put on orders for Fort Riley. And
where's that for people who don't know?
Is it Kansas?
So Fort Riley's in Kansas.
Yeah. I know, but I just,
I couldn't
I'm not
remember.
in the military, so I don't like
I thought it was, but I was like, maybe.
It's a great place to go visit in the fall time if you love different colors. It is not, however, a fantastic place to live if you have to be there for 3 years. I'll just say that. The day that we moved in, it was 116 degrees. No joke.
Okay. All right.
The last winter that we were there, it got minus 34.
That's dumb. You can't get that hot and that cold.
No,
you gotta choose.
That's too much of a swing.
I, honest to God, on a regular would be like, I hate this state. I hate it here. I hate it here. Oh my God. When are we going back to Florida? So literally, like, he dropped his packet. He knew that we were coming back here after his deployments. And, that's just kind of what we planned for.
So you touched on his
Amazing.
deployments, and I know that's where you said, that's up until that point, the military life was just the life that you guys had chosen, and it was something that you guys did together as a team. So now the deployments start happening more regularly after 9/11 occurred?
So not for him, just because he took the 1 year separation in Korea. So that constituted as an overseas tour. It didn't count as like a deployment,
Okay.
but it did count as an overseas tour. So then after that, he went going to Central Command. You don't deploy from there. So it's not, post where you're going to be on orders to be deployed. That's where they run everything. So, so when he got orders for Fort Riley, Kansas, I literally cried. Like, I could not even talk about it without somebody asking oh, I heard you're moving, uncontrollably cry. And he had called ahead when he got orders, and I was like, you're going to deploy? And he's like, well, yeah, probably. So he's like, I'm going to try to call ahead and see where I'm going to be and see where they are on the schedule. So he called ahead and he found out what unit he was going to be. And he was literally supposed to deploy 4 or 5 months later.
Oh.
And he's like, listen, I'm just going to have you stay here. Because if you come, I'm going to leave and you're not going to have anybody at all. You're not going to know anybody. At least here, we had so many friends that were like family that were willing to help.
Yeah.
And it didn't really uproot the kids. Now, the kids were young, still in that time, still elementary school, both of them. And that was very hard for them. They both developed a lot of anxiety during that time when he was gone. So that separation from the time that he left to go to Kansas, the little bit of time before his deployments to where he was ramping up and getting everything ready and training, deploying, coming home, and then the kids getting out of school, it was a 22-month separation.
And you're working as an LPN at this time, right?
No, I was working as a bartender at Outback still.
Okay.
We were still in Florida. So me and the kids had not come to Kansas yet.
Okay.
Yep,
yeah. So we were still in Florida. He was gone. A friend of mine, her teenage daughter, her high school daughter, who the kids loved, would come and sit with the kids and babysit with the kids while I went to work. At one point in time, I was working 2 jobs because Tony had to so we had our, we were renting a house. We had our own bills to where we were pretty comfortable. But then Tony, because he was married, he was ineligible to be in the barracks.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Right.
Really?
So he had to rent a place.
Yeah.
Which was awful, by the way. I was terrified. I mean, this place, let's just put it this way. There was a neighbor of his that used to get raw fish from the grocery store and cook it on the cement steps into the apartment.
Okay.
There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. Just let that sit, Mo. Just
I'm gonna let it sit.
Let that ride. Let that ride.
I'm confused though. He's married, but he doesn't have his family with him. So why can't he live in the barracks?
Because we get a housing allowance.
Yeah.
You can't get a housing allowance and be in the barracks at the same time. And we needed the housing allowance to pay for our rent in Florida.
I see.
So a friend of mine, so a friend of mine, she had kids consignment store, and I worked there during the day when the kids were at school.
Oh my God.
to help Tony pay for his rent. And then I would come home, I would get them their dinner, their homework done, all of that. And then I would leave and I would go to the restaurant and wait tables or bartend and do it all.
How long did you do that? 22 months?
22 months.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So great.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It was the most stressful time probably in my entire life.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
I did not, I didn't have time to feel anything.
Yeah.
And
that's rough.
literally I was trying to be the strong one for my kids because they were struggling. And, you can't cry in front of the kids because, that's just going to make things worse. And, get up, get them ready for school, go to your first job, get them home, go to your second job, like all of these things. And then they were still doing gymnastics and AJ was doing like travel ball, and it was just, I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
I would love to see your calendar schedule from that time period. I'm sure it was just
oh my
madness.
gosh. It was crazy. It was crazy. And I would always get comments from people that I know was like, girl, I just don't know how you do it. And I would just say, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
What am I going to say? No.
Yeah.
Like,
well, a lot of people do, by the way, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I love to hear you say that, but a lot of people say, I ain't doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Too much.
But I was like, I don't have a choice. Like, I have to handle it. I have to do it. But yeah, that was crazy. Craziness.
So when he deploys, now this is an actual deployment. It's not an overseas assignment.
Right.
Okay.
And so add that to the mix.
Yeah. So now you have that to worry about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you decided to remain here through all of his deployments till he was getting out, or you guys eventually moved to Kansas, right?
So when he got home so he deployed to Iraq in 2009. And then when he got home from that, the plan is that he should have been on orders. Our plans never worked out for the best. So the plan is like to try to get back to Florida for his last duty station to be here. So we could buy a house, use the BAH to, pay for our mortgage for the last few years and just be set to where we could figure it out. And we had time when he was still active duty. Didn't really work that way. So he came home from Iraq and he got orders to be the inspector general for Fort Riley, an assistant inspector general, which is essentially a duty station change that counts as a duty station change. So your 3 years starts all over again. Yeah.
Army was like, yeah, that sounds great. We're going to do this instead.
Furious. So I'm like, all right, so pack up the house. Like, guess we're going to Kansas, kids.
Now, did you have to do that by yourself?
No. So we hired the Army. Not hired, but we opted. So there's two different ways. Like when you move, you can do what's called a DITY move, a do-it-yourself move, and the Army will pay you. Yeah. Which we did several times. And Tony wanted to do that several times. I never wanted to do that. Tony wanted to do it. He was like, listen, we could make some money. I was like, bruh, like you have no idea. At this point, we had so much crap because we had lived in 2 different places. So we had double of everything. I was like, I will kill you in your sleep if you make me pack this stuff up myself for $5. Like for $5 extra dollars. I'm not doing it. You're going to call the moving company and let them know that they're going to come get our crap and they're going to take it.
She said Tony wanted to do that several times.
Right.
No, I was reading it.
Which funny story, the weekend that they came to get our stuff was Tony's birthday. And I forgot it.
There's a lot going on.
Oh my God. Like, honest to God, I felt awful. At the end of the day, he was sitting there and he was like, well, like, I guess we're not going to do anything for my birthday. And I was like, oh my God, today is your birthday.
I would have hit him with that's today? I thought it was tomorrow.
Awful.
How you didn't say that sooner?
Like, they packed my calendar. I didn't know. I forgot. I didn't even know what day it was.
The movers took the calendar, bro. I couldn't see it.
Sorry.
And then literally to this day, he'll be like, yeah, I remember that year that you forgot my birthday. So what are we going to do?
So he's a year younger. Yeah. He's a year younger. I'll take it.
Right.
That's just wild, man.
Yeah. So we move the kids and me to Kansas. We find a house with a decent school system, and because I refused to live on post, would never not.
I was gonna. So you weren't a fan. Some people love it, but you're saying no. Okay, all right.
So Tony didn't like it because it felt for him like, because we did live on post when we were at Fort Belvoir in VA. Which, side note, that housing is actually condemned and it was bulldozed down because there was lead in the paint. So,
oh my God. Okay, well, I didn't know that. Okay, fair enough. All right, fair enough.
It was pretty awful.
And we live there.
Yeah. So I didn't like it just because I wasn't like that. There's a lot of cattiness with the military spouse, like family. And when you're on post, I am not, and Tony will tell you, I'm not a person that knows how to shut my mouth ever if I don't like something. And it could get him in trouble. Like if
Talk to the wrong
I,
spouse.
spouted off to somebody that her husband was, high ranking, Tony would pay for it at work. And then also he said, he was like, I don't want to come home and, have some like EA come over and be like, dude, you need to mow your yard. Like I never felt like I took up because that could happen. Yeah. Like that happens. So he felt like he was never not at work. So we always lived off post after that.
Yeah.
So we moved into this house. It was the worst thing ever, honestly.
Oh man.
It was awful. No, like I can't even make this stuff up. Like we got there, mind you, how I said earlier, it was 116 degrees.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I was not a happy person having to move, like driving from Florida to Kansas with 2 vehicles, 2 kids, a 100-pound Labrador retriever that literally wiped shit on the back of my seat while we were there because he was trying to jump over from the front seat to the back seat. It was awful.
No.
We get to Kansas. They're moving us in. I go out and get the mail. Now, mind you, the person that we are renting from he's an Army officer. He's from Kansas. He was stationed, I believe, in Hawaii at the time. I go out. Now, we had just shelled out like $4,000 to move into this house. Like first month, last month, pet security, whatever.
All the
Go out and get the mail. And I open it up. And it's a letter saying that the house that we're renting is going to be put on auction in 2 weeks because the landlord had not paid the mortgage. And I lost my shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to burn this house down right now. I am furious. Tony calls him and he's like, what is going on? Now he's scheduled already to deploy. He knows he's leaving anyways. Like, I think it was like 4 or 5 months after we got there, he was set to deploy anyways. So, now we have this stress. Promises. He's like, oh, no. Like, I got it caught up. You don't have to worry about it. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I was behind, but, it's all caught up. It's, whatever.
Feel good about it.
He insures
I'm behind
us.
because I just gave you $4,000, bro.
Yeah.
Now you caught up.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
So he leaves. He deployed to Afghanistan. That was 2012. And that was another year. And we were in Kansas there.
Oh my God.
And so regardless of like, if we were in Florida or, when we were in Kansas, me and the kids always went to see him off. So like, that was hard. That was like, day one sucks. It always sucks. So, when we were in Florida.
How old are the kids at this point, Mary?
2012.
AJ was in 6th grade and Alexis was in 3rd. And I remember that because AJ was so mad because in Florida, 6th grade was considered junior high. And when we went to Kansas, it was still elementary. So he was not happy. He was like, Mom,
this place sucks.
Yes. Yeah. I don't like this place already. So that was like our start of Kansas was we're going to lose our house. We just paid all this money and we're going to lose our house. So he leaves, goes to Afghanistan, comes home. And, that was pretty much the end of his career. He was done. He dropped his packet. He had dropped his packet, I believe, before he even deployed or maybe even when he just got back because you have to do it a year out. But, the changes for Tony, they really started after that first deployment in Iraq. I wouldn't even say that the changes happened and started after 9/11 because I did not see subtle changes. I did, but not like the changes after Iraq. And I noticed them when he came home on mid-tour leave. They get to come home for a month. They get to come for 30 days. Halfway through their tours when they're deployed to see their family. So I noticed it instantaneously when he came home for mid-tour leave, that first deployment.
Can you speak on that? What were some of the things you noticed?
So pre-deployment, Tony, his moods, he was like he was the nicest, sweetest person, like at a fault.
Mhm.
Like he let people walk all over him and he would do anything for anybody. Some people, even like family members and friends of ours, took advantage of that to, get him to do things. And I would say to them, like, why do you do that all the time? Like, don't let them, and you'd be like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to make a big deal out of it. Like, I want to do it. I'm going to do it. Just, it's fine. Words. His tone was very sharp. You could feel his presence, like, not in a good way in a room. Like, he was very confrontational. And he would use the excuse of, I'm not going to get stepped on anymore. I'm not that guy that's going to get stepped on anymore. Like, realized how often that's happened to me and that's just not going to happen anymore. And, it wasn't, it was like to the kids and they were little. It was to me, it was the kids, it was to his friends, it was to his family, people he worked with, it was to everybody. Like there was conflict all around him. So I noticed that immediately. He wasn't as soft as he used to be. So that was very, very hard. And that got progressively worse throughout each deployment. Afghanistan was hard for him. It was very, very hard for him. He earned a Bronze Star in Afghanistan because his fob was under fire for like, I don't know, it was a long, long time and like hours and hours. And, he had told me very few stories, but that was one of them. A real significant thing that had happened to him that caused him to be different. Another thing that was very, very hard for him was his leadership when he was in Afghanistan. He had a lieutenant colonel that he worked with that he did not see him very well in his light. So this lieutenant colonel was trying to get a 1-star, and his like project, I guess, to do so was to boost the IG's Facebook page. They had a Facebook page, and each person from the IG office was at a different fob. Like their jobs were to inspect the people, the units that were on that fob. So Tony was at fob Fenty. And he was there supporting Fort Carson's soldiers. So he would go in and like inspect their stuff and make sure everything was the way it should be. The thing about that is he was the only one from Fort Riley there. So he was by himself. He didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And IG is very much like law enforcement in the military. Like you don't want to tell them or talk to them. They're the ones that are coming, to let you know you're not doing something right. So nobody wanted to befriend him and talk to him. So, this lieutenant colonel, when he would come to each fob to make his presence, he was pushing on all of these soldiers, go on your phone and like this Facebook page to try to get more views and get more people to have, the most amount of foot traffic on his Facebook page. And Tony's like, where he was, they would have flight ceremonies, which were basically like it didn't matter what day or time it was, somebody would die. They would have to come out to the flight line. The body would be wrapped, they put it in a box wrapped in a flag, and they would have to stand at attention and watch them be put on this plane to fly home. And it happened very, very often for him. Yeah. And I don't know if every fob had a flight line like his did and they did it. It happened often with his. So he was very angry in the fact that, bro, like, do you know how many flight lines I had to go stand at attention to, and you're worried about your fucking Facebook page? Like, furious, right?
Time and place. Like, we're under fire, people are dying, and you're like and follow my Jesus.
Yeah. So literally, like, there was a time where they were on all of the different IGs were on a meeting on a phone, and they would call in for their like meeting. And his lieutenant colonel, I believe he was in Bagram, which is one of the fobs that is not as prevalent. Like they had Chili's there, so it wasn't fun. Mm-hmm. So they were all talking or whatever, and literally Tony lost his mind. Like cursed him out. I don't give a shit about your fucking Facebook. Like, and this was also after one of his friends who was also an IG had like attempted suicide while they were there.
Ugh.
And I think they sent him to Germany or something. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
he was very distraught about that too. So this, that happened.
Right.
And I remember being at home and the phone rang. I was like, wow, that's weird. I was like, he doesn't usually call this early.
Yeah.
So I answered the phone. He's like, I just want to let you know that I'm going to get kicked out of the Army today. I'm like, what?
Wait a minute.
Like,
God.
wait.
Oh.
I'm like, whoa. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get kicked out of the Army today. And I was like, what happened? And he tells me what happened. And I was just like, oh my God. And he was like, yeah, he's like, literally like, so they have two phones. They have like the nipper phone and the zipper phone. And one is like top secret to where, it's monitored and one is not. And they would have their meetings on the top secret one. He's like, literally, he's like, literally, like I hung up the phone with them and turned to the other phone to wait for his EA to call him to be like, you need to come up to Bagram to sign your paperwork. Because you're getting an Article 15.
Because you're done.
You're going to be. You're done. You're done now.
You're done.
Okay, bud. 2 or 3 days went by and he didn't hear anything. And they went up to Bagram for something. And that lieutenant colonel actually was like, he came in, he was like, sorry, Matt, come in to my office. And Tony came in at full attention. He was like, go ahead and relax. He was like, nope, I'm just going to stay like this. And he was like, you're not in trouble. Like, sit down. And he was like, he told him, he was like, nobody, he's like, number one, I admire what you did. Number two, don't ever fucking do that to me again. Don't ever say that shit to me again.
Fair.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've never had anybody talk to me like that in my entire career. And he's like, I actually like respect you for that, but it was just like another traumatic event that happened to him that it just it didn't go away. And when he came home, it just, each one of those traumatic events was worse and worse and worse. And he just came home like an unrecognizable person. And then,
Can I just ask, Mary? So the kids were 6th grade, 3rd grade when he left. And now we're fast forwarding two 1-year deployments. So they're, they're probably around what grade at this point? Because I don't know if there were more deployments once we finally.
No, that was the last one. Afghanistan was the last one. AJ was in high school at the time.
So now we're in the high school and middle school probably with.
Actually, no. AJ was in 8th grade because when we came back to Florida, he started high school. And Alexis was going into 6th grade.
So we're at a very formative time. Dad's back home and Dad is a starkly different person.
Yeah. And, to think about it, when, Tony left for his first deployment, the kids were in elementary. And when he came back, they were teenagers. Yeah. So to sit and think about like seeing your kids being in elementary school and going to work and coming home and they're teenagers and they're talking back to you and they're doing things that they're not supposed to. He had no patience for that whatsoever. He didn't have patience for normal shit, let alone
teenager stuff.
So that was very, very hard to navigate with him. And to try to get him to understand, I get it that you just deployed, but you also have a family and it is not just all about you. We lost you too for a long time. Yeah. Like we've been on our own for a long time. And one of the things that had gotten in his head for a very long time was he felt like it was 3 against 1.
Yeah.
So he felt like he got very defensive and he felt like it was like me and the kids against him because he was always, so angry all the time. And I was always coming to him being like, you have to stop. And he was like, I'm never, I'm always the one that's wrong and you never, say anything to the kids. And so, we became very divided from that. And, for me as a mama bear, I'm like, listen, I will put my kids in my place when they need to be, but, they've gone through a lot too. So don't think that you're going to come home and you're just going to start screaming at everybody for no reason because it's not happening, pal.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to jump ahead, but I just kind of want to summarize because I'm formulating the thoughts here. But, I can actually relate a little bit to what you're talking about because I would go away for a long time, then come back. And it's like, listen, bro, you've been gone. We got a flow here. And now you're coming in messing my shit up and you got an attitude. It is 3 against 1 because you need to readapt and acclimate to what we got going on. So I get that concept. But I'll try to formulate this. So all of that's happening. He gets out, going back to Florida, our happy place. I'm speaking just kind of, maybe this was what we need. We'll, this is the space we need. We weren't happy here, so we're going back to our happy place. But in the meantime, and Tony said he's dealing with all the stuff from the deployments. He's coming back, but also that separation. It's almost like a death, right? He dedicated the majority of his life to this career. He did important things. I'm not speaking for Tony because he's actually, when we had him on, he's very, very humble about his career path. But again, civilians look in, he did a very noble, honorable thing, and now he's not doing it anymore. And on top of that, he feels like it's 3 against 1. And so it's like he has career death. He doesn't know what's going on. He feels disconnected from his family. All right, we're going to go to Florida. It was better there, but not jumping ahead too far. It didn't necessarily work out that way. It didn't work out that way either.
No, it wasn't the Florida environment that we had remembered that we were coming home to. It wasn't that.
Do you think it had a lot to do with how he changed? That made it that way? Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think that he realized how his retirement would hit him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's all he wanted. He was like, I can't wait until I'm done with the Army. I can't wait to just be able to do what I want to do and wear what I want to wear, and not have to, go and make sure that my hair, cut every day. If I want to grow my hair out, I can. If I want to have a beard, I can't. No.
They never
He
do.
actually asked me. Yeah, no, he doesn't do that. But yeah, he was all the way up to it. And after he came home from his last deployment, he was like, okay, I'm going to drop my packet. It was just this fresh breath of air for him, where he was like, oh, I can breathe. But that's not how it was. He was, he had his retirement ceremony. It was a really big deal, and a lot of people came, and it's, he had so many accomplishments, but you could tell that he didn't enjoy it as much as he thought, because it's all that he knew. He came into the Army when he was 17.
Yeah.
His mom had to sign a waiver saying that he could be in the Army.
Yeah.
So that is all that he knew. And, now he's 40 years old. At that time, he didn't have a job because he still had a little bit of a time lapse. So a lot of people will save up their leave time as much as possible, so that way when they get out, they can get out but still have a paycheck coming in for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he was. And so he didn't have a job. And I remember I got there and I got a job right away, and I was going to work at a clinic. I worked at a clinic in Lakeland. I was driving an hour one way for work because I just had to take the first thing that came available.
Yeah. Are you a nurse now?
Is crazy to me.
Nuts. So, are you a nurse now, Mary, or are you still LPN?
I am a nurse. Yeah.
Okay, so you're a nurse at this point, driving an hour.
I was an LPN. So I wasn't a registered nurse.
Oh,
yet,
okay.
But I was an LPN, and so I was running a chaotic primary care clinic of 40 patients a day.
Oh, okay. No big deal.
And I would come home, and literally Tony would be in the garage just watching TV. And I'm like, bro,
I'm seeing the friction start now. Yeah.
You need to start looking for a job.
Yeah.
He's like, he would get so mad. He's like, I will. I know how much time I have. I will. And I was freaking out because I was like, we were renting a house.
Yeah.
And I was like, and my salary, my pay didn't cover what that was. He wasn't service connected at the time, so we had no disability from the military. That was still in progress as far as him trying to get service connected and money from that. So his Army paycheck was it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need to find a job. And he would get pissed, pissed at me for even asking or bringing it up. So he finally got his first job. He got a job working for a friend of his, actually, that he met when we were coaching. They were coaches together, and they were on the athletic association committee together. He owned a business where they sold ergonomic office furniture, and he hired him on as a sales rep, which Tony was really, really great at. He's got a super great, funny, personality. He's able to talk to anybody. But at this point in his life, he doesn't have a filter. If he gets pissed at somebody, he's just going to say what he's going to say.
Yeah.
So that was very hard because Tony brought a lot of clients to, his boss, this person. And the deal is that he only paid his salespeople $40,000 salary. and then you could make bonuses after that paycheck.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Tony, he was doing a lot of office work for him on top of being his sales rep and getting contracts and selling stuff. So he would say to him, listen, you've put a lot of responsibility on me. Like, you've given me responsibilities that before I came to the company you were doing. I feel like you should pay me more for my salary because I'm doing that clerical work that nobody else is doing and you used to do as the CEO and owner of the company. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't raise his salary at all. So it was a huge like falling out, to which, I understood. I was totally beside Tony. I saw it. I got it. I agreed. He may not have said it in the best way or went about it in the best way because of where his frame of mind was right now. But, he moved on. And then after that, I got him a job at the VA, and that was really good for a little while. And then it kind of turned into the same thing where, there was conflict with the veterans. There was conflict with his coworkers. There was conflict with his boss. So, there was just conflict everywhere. And then when he was at the VA, at his VA job, that was 2017 when he started the VA job, his mom died. And he just had like a midlife crisis breakdown. He was done. And that was like 100% the worst time in our marriage ever, where I was like, I don't know what to do with you. Like, you have to go get help. I begged and begged. And, I tried doing like the nurse side of it and was like, listen, PTSD, it's not a choice. Like, it's a physiological change in your brain. When these traumatic things, it's not your fault, because I feel like a lot of veterans, when they have that mental health stigma, well back to when they were still active duty, they make it seem like it's your fault, like you caused it, or it makes you less than or weaker than.
Yeah.
And,
you're weak, bro. Yeah, you're weak, bro.
Yeah, like
all these things that happen. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, put on your big girl panties and deal with it. You don't need to go to a therapist. So the nurse side of me was like, okay, like maybe if I can get him to understand that I'm asking him to go get help, but it's for something that he can't control.
Yeah.
I'm not placing blame on you. I'm asking you to do this because there's literally a physiological change in your brain that's making you behave differently, and you're hurting your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, that it was a long time. It was a long time before he finally decided to, go and get some therapy. It was like, I literally like had to ask him to leave because I was like, I can't do this with you. I will not put our kids through this. They have been through way too much, and it's not fair for them to go through this. And it wasn't until then that he finally agreed to go and do some therapy.
So, Mary, 2 questions.
Go ahead.
One, was there any sign, like, was he self-medicating with anything that you saw, or was it just his behavior?
After his mom died, he drank a lot. Can
we clear again? I just want to, so like, there's a difference between like having a couple beers at night for dinner or on the weekends, or we're crushing a bottle a night, or whatever the vice might be. Was it something along those lines? I mean, I'm not as much as you're willing to share on that. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So, Tony was a social drinker, like beforehand. I feel like the difference was, and a lot of people really don't know this about PTSD, but when people have very traumatic events in their life and they drink alcohol, a lot of times the way that they behave prior to the traumatic event is much different than the way that they behave with alcohol afterwards. Yeah. So before his deployments, when Tony would drink, he was silly. Like, if he got drunk, he was just stupid. And he'd giggle and laugh and be crazy. And, I'd be like, listen, you need to go to bed. And he'd be like, okay, go to bed. After, it made him angry.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and it didn't ever usually, Tony was never a huge drinker. He did drink, but it didn't usually take much for him to get drunk. So it was the way that he behaved when he was drunk, even after 2 or 3 beers.
Yeah. Because
And
that's what I wanted to touch on. Because
yeah,
some people, like to your point, that I'm glad you said it that way. I was gonna, you're answering questions before I can ask them, so I appreciate it. Because it's like, dude, I drink, I don't know, whatever the 2, 3, 6, whatever it is, but it's fine.
right.
We're having fun. But there's a shift. I've had a couple other. Kevin Rooney was on here. He talked about it where he was always the life of the party, and then
Yeah.
it became not that, right?
Right.
It's not the same. You're not, and
No.
you might not even realize it. And Tony did talk about maybe the time frame you're talking about when you asked him to leave and that dark spot and how it got really bad. I'm not going to ask you to necessarily relive that unless you have a different insight on that. But I can only, again, I just want to keep reminding and reiterating. 18, small town Mary,
Yeah.
and her dreams. Pentagon, great. Go through this life, whole career. We're doing this together. It's on me. Nothing but support. Starting to see some changes, trying to hold it down. Now we're in Florida. Should be back to our happy place. It's not going that way. And it's getting, not only is it not going that, it's getting worse to the point that, I mean, he talked about it, almost suicidal and very, very destructive.
Right.
So sorry, I'm not trying to jump ahead, but I'm trying to just keep that perspective.
I definitely want that perspective. I know we really have talked about Tony, but I think people need to know too, what was Mary going through internally? Because you told me about protecting your kids. You told me about trying to talk to Tony, but what is Mary going through in these times when you realize your husband is here and you're worried that your marriage is unraveling and you're trying to protect your children? What is Mary feeling?
I was just numb at that point.
Oof. That's right.
Honestly, I was beyond fight or flight. I was literally in freeze. I was numb. It was just like life was just happening around me. And I was just trying to make the best decisions that I could. It was rough. Looking way back to where we're in Florida and he's at Central Command and he gets orders. I really honestly believe that when I was so emotional back then, even talking about Fort Riley, I was terrified because we knew so many people that deployed and they came back and they got divorced because they were different. And I really think that back then I was so emotional because it's almost like I mourned that marriage before it was even gone. Honestly.
Interesting. Yeah.
Honest to God. I really feel like I mourned it. And then I had, flashback, to when everything's happening and he's home and we're back in Florida. There came a point in time where I had to mourn him of
oh, wow.
He's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
You're never going to get old Tony.
Yeah.
100%. That person is gone. That mindset is gone. He's always going to be just a little bit different than he was when you first met him. And people say over time, you're married to a person for a really long time. Of course, you evolve, you change just by getting older. But I think, having a veteran and having a veteran spouse that has trauma all the way back to childhood can be very different and very hard to watch somebody that you love that much kind of just self-destruct. And that's honest to God why I wanted to work at the VA so badly, because it was I was very passionate about, helping veterans to get the help that they need. And honestly, to talk to them and try to get them to understand that their struggles they don't have to be their own. They can reach out, they can get help, they can call us. And I've been at the VA for 10 years now. I've been with a clinical contact center for 4. And the first year that I was there for nurse triage, I worked from 3:30 to midnight. So I got a lot of those mental health calls during that first year. And although they were very hard and scary, it was surprisingly most times than not, I was able to talk to them and get them to understand and calm down and listen to me. I tell Mo all the time, my daughter, she's a nurse as well. She wanted to be a baby nurse and work, in the NICU. And I was like,
God help you.
You can have your babies. I will take my grumpy veterans every day of the week and twice on Sunday because I can tell them, listen, you need to knock it off and shut your mouth and listen to me for 1 second. And they'll listen. They get that. They understand. They're like, whoa, okay, I can say that to them. I can't say that to a mom. That's
No,
rude.
no.
That is true.
Well, can I just say, and Mary, you're just telling it like it is,
Mhm.
but you keep saying things, and I'm like, good God Almighty, woman. Yeah, I had to work 2 jobs. I just did it. I had to drive an hour 4 days a week for school, kids, and everything else going on. But yeah, we moved to Florida. I'm driving an hour to Lakeland. Just gotta do it. Like, you're not saying like, oh, it was so hard. It was all that. You're just like, yeah, I'm just doing it. And now you're like, yeah. So now I've got my husband. This is happening. I'm struggling. Kids. And now I'm working 3:30, whatever it is. Midnight shift is what I'm going to call it. Talking to people. You're just like, yeah, I'm just doing it. I'm here. I love it. And your attitude hasn't shifted. Your body posture, nothing. You're just like, yeah, this is just what I do. That's amazing to me. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy and amazing in the best way.
So
just like, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I think my life runs on chaos, honestly.
Maybe.
It does.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I can
It really,
vouch for
really
that.
does.
She has 8,000 chickens to keep her busy also.
I do.
That's a different thing. That's different.
I have
That's for
8,000
fun.
chickens. I have 5 goats.
All the things, bro.
3
All
dogs.
the things.
3
She's
cats.
another one. She just throws little boop. Yeah.
Yep.
And we had a dog and he shit on my seat.
Bro, dog would have been
For
left
sure.
somewhere between Florida and Arizona. Cannot. You know me, Mary. I don't know what happened to the dog.
Yeah.
I let him out at the rest stop.
Yeah. Sorry.
Bye, dog.
I'm not sure.
So
My bad.
just to be respectful of your time.
Yes.
Probably gonna have to have you back on because now I'm interested. I was interested in your work before, but I want to get into that. But let's. So we ended with Tony needed help, but now we're on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Getting help and better place. I don't know how to articulate that.
It's been slow.
Yeah.
He had gotten help with one therapist, and then there was a period. So when he left the VA, there was a period of time to where he didn't work, and he was doing woodworking, which he is phenomenal at, honestly. Like, he was making cornhole boards, like custom cornhole boards, and selling them. They are like amazing. Well, once COVID hit, the price of wood went up so much that he was like, I cannot in good conscience sell these things to people for the amount that I need to and actually make money off of them. So he just stopped making money. He just stopped doing it. So we had lived in Wesley Chapel. We sold our house there and moved out here. Our house there, it was beautiful, but it was in an HOA. It was very, very close. Like, the neighbors were like this close to you. It was super annoying. We were like constantly getting like notices on our mailbox, like, you didn't bring your trash can up in time. It literally, like, on trash day, we would get like, I'm like, bro, like, they literally just pulled out of the community and I have a notice from the HOA that I bring my trash can up. Like,
that's too much.
Dude, like, I paid way too much money for this house for you to tell me I can't leave my trash can out for 5 minutes. Like, so we sold that house and we bought this house out here on 5 acres, which has been really, really great for Tony because it's given him space to go outside and be able to clear his head and have alone time, because it's super important for him, for his own mental health. But he was just like kind of just sitting around and he was like nitpicking about everything and grumpy. And I was just like, bro, you need to get a job. And he was just getting angry and angrier and angrier. And finally, like, I was like, listen, I need to work on me, and I'm doing that. I'm going to therapy. I'm working on me to fix the things that I need to fix. I can't fix the things that you need. I need you to fix the things that you need. And he said, there's nothing wrong with me. And that's when I was like, get out.
Bro. Yeah. Bro.
Get
Go.
out now. Right now.
Bro.
Yeah. So, that was kind of when we had like a year separation to where he had moved in with a friend of his and their wife and his wife. And he did another like bout of counseling. And we also did marriage counseling together. So I was going to counseling, he was going to counseling, and we did marriage counseling as well. And that has helped tremendously to be able to, open up about the things that hurt us. Because I'll be honest, like, one of the things about military spouses is that you're not supposed to stress them out. They have enough stress. Yeah. And it is very much known throughout the community. Like, you don't want to be a nag wife. Like, you don't want to point out everything that they're doing wrong because they have enough stress at work. And if they're stressed at home and they don't and they're thinking about that at work, they could, lives can be lost. So one of the things that I was not good at is telling him how I felt, because I would hold that shit in. So it didn't create an argument. And then as time went on and his mood, got more unstable, it became a scary thing to where I didn't want to make him blow up, because once he would blow up, then, the kids would see it and that would cause more trouble for them. And I don't want them to see, it would be just like a whole thing. So I held it all in, and I held it all on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And that just created like not a very good mental health space for myself. And I literally remember like the day that I started looking for a therapist, I said, I just basically said to myself, like, I was completely numb. I had no feeling. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel happy. I was numb. And I was like, if you do not go get help, like, this is going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, the only feeling that you feel is anxiety, and that's it. Like, you need to get some help. And, I've been in therapy ever since, trying to like, figure out, because once, you go through fight or flight, and what happens is once your body is in fight or flight for so long, it just shuts down. And that's where that numbness, it's called freeze. So it's fight or flight, fawn, and freeze. So I was in fight or flight for so long throughout all of those years, to where my body, and a little bit on the morbid side, honestly, like if you look into, once you get to freeze, it's your body literally preparing to die, because you've been in fight or flight for so long that your body believes that you are in such a high stress environment that something is going to kill you, and it shuts off all of your emotions and your receptors to happiness and pain and everything, so you feel less. And that's where I was. And being a nurse, knowing that, it's like, holy shit, like, you better get yourself some help. Like,
Yeah.
I knew it.
So you guys, I know the story a little bit, but now we're here today. What does today look like for Mary and Tony?
It's much better. It's much better than it was before. It's still a work in progress.
Yes.
I like you saying that. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's always still a work in progress. I mean, there are still things that trigger me or trigger him that we've had to learn to be able to say, I need to talk to you about this, and sit down and talk through it. You said this to me, and I don't know if you realize, but, it made me feel this. And that is not an easy thing for me to do. It's not an easy thing for me to talk about like how I feel, just because my instinct is just to take care of it all.
Yeah.
You've had to kind of retrain your brain to know that, like, I've got to be able to tell, like, he's no longer the soldier. He's my husband, and I've got to be able to tell him things without shielding him because of his job.
Right. For sure. And, I also, like, I never wanted to, like, hurt his feelings. So, things that he did that were hurting the family, like, I never wanted to come at him in a certain way and like purposefully hurt his feelings. But there's just things sometimes to where maybe they're not aware. You have to sit and talk about it, and you have to be able to make it a safe space to where, if, something gets to be too much, you can say, listen, I need like 30 minutes to know that we can talk about anything, and we are still going to have feelings, and we are still going to get upset, but we can say, I need to walk away for a few. Can we come back to this? I need a few minutes, and that's okay. And to have that safe space to be able to do that, that's super important.
I wanted you to talk about, because we did a lot of like kind of explaining what led to it, but I want people to recognize that even when you go through these times that feel like you're in hell, that there is coming out of the fire if you are willing to both put in the work. Because knowing you two, it was Mary, you told him you've got to work on you, and you may have started the ball rolling. And then I think the severity of the decision that you made to say, hey, we need to be separated, really triggered him to say, I got to do better. I got to be better.
Yeah.
So for the service member or the spouse, it's going to require you guys really stepping out in a space where you probably aren't comfortable with, but you're essentially saying, I love you. I want to rebuild what we have. It's going to look very different, but I need you to walk alongside me to do it.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah, you got
honestly,
27 years together. I mean, that's nothing to
a
sneeze at.
long time.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And that was like my breaking point. Like that was my last ditch effort. Like I
Yeah.
felt like when I had asked him to leave, like that was it for me. I was like, I don't know what else I can do. And I had to set that boundary to let him know, I'm not just going to allow for you to say, oh yeah, like I'll go to counseling and I'll do it for, a couple weeks and then I'm done, and not have it be for real.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I have seen a lot of military families and the husband or the wife that was in the service, to where that's what they do. They're like, okay, well, I'll go for, a couple weeks or maybe a couple months just to say that I went,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because it's hard for them. They don't ever want to relive what they don't want to talk about it to
No.
the people they trust, let alone somebody that they don't even know.
Yeah.
100%.
So, but
100%.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
No, for sure. For sure.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, Mary, because you have shared to me like a piece of your life. Let me just tell you before we let her go, Tyler, she drops these little nuggets. One little nugget that she left off. Mary
Mhm.
also, because she didn't have enough going on, went back to school again, got
Yeah.
her master's in nursing. So graduated last year with honors, or what was it,
Oof.
ma'am?
So I graduated from UCF with, it was a 3.97%.
No big deal.
No big deal.
No big
Chaos.
deal.
Yeah,
While
I
running
graduated in August. So yeah, just a few months ago, honestly.
just a few months ago.
With everything else going on.
With everything with her and him continually, because I see it, working on their family, their marriage, building a chicken mansion because they got 9,000 chickens, building the goat,
Like a mansion.
the goat compound because they got 8 goats,
Yeah.
and running McFarland's farm
That's right. And my daughter just got engaged, so we're going to be planning a wedding.
Yeah.
because we ain't got nothing else to do.
That's
Nope.
right. Exactly.
Mary, I'm gonna end with this. Don't hang up. But I would love to have you back on whenever
Sure.
time permits in your schedule,
Sure.
because I'm also super interested in the work that you're doing.
Yes.
Because I think that's also very important. And I'm sorry, I'm taking it all in. There's a lot to process here, but I'm amazed and I'm very thankful for your time and your
Of
story.
course.
And to me, it's just you're showing that it takes work, but there's hope. And
Yeah.
even in the bad times, it takes two, right? You both got to recognize it. So I'm
Yeah.
laughing a little bit. Tony's like, wow, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to choke you right now.
You got to
Exactly.
leave.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you got to, but
During that time, I did call Mo several
Yeah.
times. I'm like, I'm going to put all of his stuff in the front yard. I'm going to set it on fire. Done.
I'm on the way.
Yeah.
Won't do that.
fair enough. Fair
He's like,
point.
no, you're not going to do. What happened?
Not yet. We ain't there yet. Yeah. No, but I thank you so much.
Of course. Absolutely. It was my pleasure, really, to be on.
Awesome.